to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this eve of the NFL Draft, 24th day of April. Just want to remind you, tomorrow, folks, I will be doing the show First 10 Picks. So the show will go on its normal hour. Then we will cut off the Roku TV segment of it because that's our hour. And you can still tune in to watch myself and the Mad New Yorker, Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez, on the Sports Scope. That is the word Sports Scope with the K, like on the screen. Watch the rest of those first 10 picks on our YouTube channel here. Okay. I had to remove one of these apps here. All righty then. Today, going to give you the rest of my mock draft 21 through 32, and I'll do a quick recap. You see my first 10 picks at the bottom of the screen, plus talk a little NBA talk here with the playoffs. Looks like the Suns soften up again, blow another road game there. I wouldn't say blow, they just didn't win it. They just got out pustled. Also, Trey Henderson, Cincinnati Bengals, the second Bengal now in the last couple of months, now requesting to be traded along with T. Higgins, who is now backed off his trade request. But both of these guys coming up on last, looking for long-term deals here with the Bengals. The Lions do the opposite. They extend two 2021 draft picks. I'll talk about that and more. First, let's go ahead and take our first and only break. I'll be back here in 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Okay, looks like a side note here. Boston in a tight game here, 44-42 with the Miami Heat there. And I know the Pelicans will play game 2 at the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. I'll be watching those games as well. So first, let me start off with this. Minnesota Suns. Guys like Stephen A. Smith, when he says something I think that's idiotic and irresponsible, I'll call him out. But when he does something that I agree with, I will praise him. You know, especially when it comes to the NBA, I think that's his strong suit here. He said that it looks like the Suns quit on Minnesota last night. I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, they were up by 5 at one point. Minnesota down 0-1, trying to even this series up. And even though they did, air quote, win the rebounding battle, they continued to settle for jump shots even when they weren't falling, especially Devin Booker. Durant, being the passive person he is, you kind of not really, that's breaking news considering the fact he ran to a 73-win championship winning Golden State Warrior team to get a cheap championship in the middle of his prime here. Tells you his lack of leadership and whatnot. That type of effort and performance overall, that was the reason why that the Phoenix had fired Monty Williams last year, the head coach. You know, And I'll have to be honest, Frank Vogel has not made his mark yet. I was really excited for the Phoenix Suns fans, thinking that he was going to do that, thinking that he was going to protect that rim with DeAndre Ayton. Of course, they made this trade and got Beal. So far has not looked like it's paid off with Bradley Beal here. And they got rid of Ayton and they brought in Nurkic, who is just inconsistent. He's just not physical enough. He's not a rim protector. I'm ashamed of this team. If I was the bettors, I wouldn't bet on them. Maybe they'll go back to Phoenix. They'll win those first 2 games. Then they'll come back and maybe the Timberwolves will have a series on their hand, But my point is, this Suns team, they look like the total opposite. A lot of talent, a lot of height, length. No excuse. I mean, Durant himself is 6'10". He's either from 6'10" to 7 foot, And they look like the total opposite of a Tom Thibodeau coach, New York Knicks team. Teams that scrap for loose balls are playing with 3 guards. You're getting guys like Josh Hart come up with the ball over a 7-foot tall Joel Embiid and get the ball back outside and hit the game. Go ahead 3 there. Cannot say the same for this Frank Vogel team and last year Monty Williams team. These guys just do look like they are, and this is going back about 3 seasons now, that this team is the most nonchalant team I've ever seen. The way they lost that game 7, I think it was last year. Yeah. The way they lost that game 7 to Dallas last year and the way they've played in these 2 games against Minnesota, they're playing at regular season speed, and you got to credit the Timberwolves. They're playing at a playoff type of speed. The flip side, these aren't the most talented players, but their voices are being heard. Mike Conley, especially, has played in many, many playoff games going back to his days at Memphis, being a leader, mid-30s. Rudy Gobert, 30, 31 years old. These guys, these young Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns. By the way, Naz Reid just won 6th Man of the Year. He's been balling out. He's off the bench there for the Timberwolves. He just got 6th Man of the Year. They're playing the way I thought they would play last year. I keep forgetting the fact that Edwards has been in this league 4 years. Maybe they just better. Maybe they have just better. I know that Edwards had a child that was to be born. He seemed a little distracted around the pregnancy of his wife. This child's been born for a few months now. He seems to be locked in. Towns is back. Now, his numbers aren't great, but obviously Edwards, the real talent on this team per se, but there's also a lot of balance there. One of the better defensive teams in the whole league here. This simply could be their time to shine, okay? But as far as Phoenix, I thought they was maybe it's not over with for them. I wrote them off before. Let's see what happens. But right now, it looks like I was totally wrong about this team, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to end up winning that series. Now, Indiana looks more like the team that I picked that would win this series. Not so much in that first game. They really got overwhelmed by just a well of a performance there in game 1 by Damian Lillard. What, he had 35 points at halftime, hitting them from the popcorn stands, like my dad would say. But Pascal Siakam, former Toronto Raptor championship winning player, what, he had 37 points last night, came up really big, getting that road win there on the Milwaukee Bucks, looking like the Milwaukee Bucks defense that we saw these last 18 to 20 games under Doc Rivers, giving up 125 points. They are who we thought they were. Like the great Dennis Green would say, former Arizona Cardinals football coach. Okay. Now, that's my NBA rant for today. For the day, and I tell you, it looks like the Celtics got their hands full. It was a 2-point game last I checked. Okay, 44-42. We're getting close to halftime there with the Miami Heat. I wouldn't be surprised the way they've been coached that they want to turn around and lose that game and go back 1-1 when they look like world beaters during the regular season. Go figure. Okay. Let's go back to the round ball, or to the pigskin. We just got done with the round ball, didn't we? Now I'm trying to find this Detroit Lions summer. Detroit Lions. Maybe I put it here. Boy, I hope I didn't mess this up. Sometimes when I'm writing these notes, folks, sometimes when I'm writing these notes here, I end up putting them on the wrong date here. My notes. So Detroit looks to have that they have signed. They have extended Alamon St. Brown. They have also extended. Here we go. Lions re-up some of their previous draft picks. The 2021 draft. I was talking about that yesterday, folks. Right, where you had a lot of busted quarterback. Other than Trevor Lawrence, the other quarterbacks have been traded that were drafted high in that particular draft. A lot of people want to blame that on COVID, not proper scouting and whatnot, with your Trey Lances and your Zach Wilsons of the world, etc. But the Brad Holmes, who I've been really high on since he got his extension here just a few weeks ago, I've been high on him. I've been high on their head coach up there as well, and everything that they're doing, And today, Alamon St. Brown, wide receiver, 4th round pick. He was extended 4 years. 70. Let me make sure I got this right. I don't want to assume anything. It looks like he has gotten. Okay. And his numbers are great, by the way. 4 years, $120 million extension, 77 guaranteed. Other reports saying that's closer to the 60s range. That's still pretty good to a former 4th round pick. 4th round pick, I tell you. I was reading a study today about 1st round draft picks. The most success rate and the biggest bust rate. The biggest bust rate, less than 25% per se, is wide receiver in the 1st round. You get a guy like Amon St. Brown in the 4th round that they have extended. Workout warrior. His dad, I want to say his dad is like a bodybuilder or something. I want to say maybe he was a former player or whatnot. Really good train. Just kind of burst out into his own. And look, his numbers in CBS put this out here. Most career receptions yards amongst the 2021 class. Think about this. Jamar Chase, 1st round pick, 5th overall. He has 37-17 yards here. Okay. Reception yards. Alamon St. Brown, the 112th pick. This is great scouting by Brad Holmes here. 3,588 yards. Jalen Waddle. Think about Jalen Waddle being in that offense, and Devontae Smith, both 1st round picks. Both of these guys do not have the yardage that Alamon St. Brown, Waddle with 3,385. 31.78 for Devontae Smith here. Those were the 6th and the 10th pick. So there are diamonds there. There are diamonds in the draft. You have to find them, per se. And on the same day, they've also extended right tackle Penei Sewell. $28 million. It's $3 million. This is from NFL Network, above the previous top market. He was the 7th pick overall in 2021. Again, I think Cincinnati should have taken him instead of Jamar Chase and kept T. Higgins. That's just my opinion. Okay. And of course I know I just read Jamar Chase is all that in a cup of soup, but you've already had T. Higgins. Maybe they should have moved off T. Higgins and went after offensive line help prior to it, but they didn't. So he has a 4-year, $112 million extension, makes him new highest paid offensive lineman, all pro level, right tackle here. Could possibly play left if needed. They've got Decker there at left, so they are set there, right and left tackle. And then you look at a team like a Cincinnati Bengals, who I talked about just now. You've got 2 Super Bowl caliber teams here, okay? You've got one team that was just in the Super Bowl back in 2021, the Cincinnati Bengals, okay? Trey Henderson, last year of his deal, wanting a new contract. Now he's going to be 30, wants multiple year extension here, has requested a trade with Cincinnati. A few months ago, now we're the day before the draft, T. Higgins, remember, he has been placed on the franchise tag here. He's also wanting to be traded. Now he has backed off that and says he's going to play for Cincinnati this year. There's a possibility, here we are on the eve of the NFL draft, that he might be dealt, if not both him and Trey Henderson, who I was reading over the internet that a lot of my NFL people that I follow said he will have a pretty lucrative market after him. The edge rusher who did nothing that lived up to his free agent signing of coming out from the New Orleans Saints. Maybe they can trade him and get a 2nd or 3rd round pick. I don't know, him being 30 and whatnot. They could definitely get a 3rd. Maybe Tennessee could, go after him, since the former offensive coordinator is now the head coach here, Brian Callahan here. But my concern is you're looking at 2 different organizations. I've already picked, as of today, I still stand by that at the day before the draft, that if I had to pick today, I say the Detroit Lions are going to go to the Super Bowl. Last year, I picked Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl. Okay? And what's happening now, you got to wonder with, I know that, Burrow's already been extended. He's the most successful quarterback, playoff wins in the history of the Cincinnati Bengals franchise. More wins than Boomer Esiason, Carson Wentz, you name it, or Carson Palmer, excuse me. 2 very good quarterbacks prior to him being there. Highly level prospects there. And my original take was the fact that he was drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe he shouldn't have signed any extension. Let it be known to the powers to be, he's not going to play there beyond his rookie contract, his 4 years there. Of course, that didn't happen. I'm just recapping some stuff here with Cincinnati. But then he takes them to the Super Bowl. Then they draft a guy that he set records with, it looked like, at LSU there. Jamar Chase, who they had tremendous success winning a national championship there with the LSU Tigers. Then I think, well, maybe the old man, he's extending people he normally doesn't. Mike Brown, who is really the general manager there, kind of like a Jerry Jones situation, except he is much, much cheaper than Jones. they're just now getting an indoor facility. 2024, are you kidding me? So but now you're seeing stuff like T. Higgins. I don't like the way they've handled this. They probably should have went on and moved on from Higgins. You can't pay both of these receivers. Sorry, I just got that eaten now. And they're letting guys walk here. They possibly may let Trey Henderson walk. You've got to give this guy a 2 or 3 year deal. You're still in your Super Bowl window. I would still lean to pick Cincinnati to go back to the Super Bowl. I do think that the fact that they have signed Orlando Brown to a long-term deal, they do need help at that right tackle position. But I do think that Burrow's realizing that he's starting to being looked at. One more injury, he's starting to look at a guy that is an injury-prone quarterback. I think he's going to reset himself. But this stuff that they're doing, they're dragging their feet on. They should have moved on from Higgins. And I'd probably extend a guy like a Trey Henderson. You look at the player, the safety they lost last year. They had a lot of young guys there. Now, you can move on off of that position. But that being said, they did have some problems with their defense in the secondary. Still won, 9 games? So I guess I'm saying that I do not like the fact that they have not really been as aggressive as they should be when they have this window. Mike Brown being 80-plus years old, why don't you go after the Super Bowl? You have a world-class quarterback here in Joe Burrow. A world-class. He's right there with Mahomes. If he played with Kansas City and Mahomes played with Cincinnati, we could be talking about Joe Burrow like we talked about Mahomes. We could be talking about Joe Burrow, but we're not. So I am a little concerned that this team is simply going to drag their feet and going to be the same old Bengals. And it's really unfortunate here. I'm not ready to write them off, but looking at that stuff today, it makes me cringe to put them back in the Super Bowl. Let's see how this thing plays out. But that is not good news from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, if they get a high pick for him and the guy works out, more power to him. I hear this Chop Robertson's pretty good out of Penn State, edge rusher here. You'd like to trade them both and get another first-round pick and another third-round pick if you are Cincinnati fans. There's a Brian Thomas out of LSU that they could possibly get later on in a draft. They need another tackle. I think so who did I have them picking? Let me double check here. Since I have my mock draft, I'm about to go over it here in just a minute. Anyways, and finish out the whole thing. Let's see. 21-32. J.J. McCarthy. Okay, I've got Cincinnati picking Byron Murphy, defensive tackle from Texas, at 18. So that would be a good guy because remember they lost DJ Reader in free agency. Murphy would be good. You would like for them to again move off of T. Higgins and get another player there. Get another rookie receiver or get another edge rusher to offset Henderson and of course trade Henderson. But I don't know if you're going to get equal value though for Henderson. That's my issue there. So just something to think about if you're Cincinnati fans. Raise Hades. Okay. All right. Now, speaking of the mock draft. Okay. So I'm going to give you the rest of my mock draft. All right. The bottom of the screen, you've got the first 10 picks. Okay. You have the first 10 picks of my NFL mock draft right there in front of you. Let's do a quick recap. Caleb Williams, USC, number 1 pick. I think he's going to Chicago. No big breaking news there. Okay. Jalen Daniels, contrary of the of the reports, he didn't like the Topgolf event. LeVar Arrington, former Washington Redskin commander who hates the Redskins organization because he didn't like Daniel Snyder, he actually said that wasn't too big a deal. I think things will get smooth over with Cliff Kingsbury. He's the offensive coordinator. He's going to be working with Daniels. They've got a lot to look. That is a really good system for Jalen Daniels. I still say he goes number 2 tomorrow. LSU will go number 2 to the Washington Commanders. There have been reports that the Patriots at 3 are taking all kinds of calls. Nothing's been done yet, not unless something's happened now as we speak. Nothing has been done yet. I know there's a lot of polarization on Drake May. He has lost receivers. I want to say he lost a coordinator there at the for Carolina, who he played for in college there. A lot of comparisons to a Justin Herbert type of player here. Okay. So I still think that he will go number 3. If nothing happens, he will go. Sorry to report that, Drake May, because I'm sure he really don't want to play for New England and Jared Mayo with that roster too. But I got him going number 3. I haven't moved off that yet. I've got Marvin Harrison at 4 from Ohio State going to Arizona. Some say maybe they've lost 2 receivers in free agency and whatnot. I think one of them got traded. No, they both lost them in free agency. So they definitely need that receiver. I still say he'll probably go 4, pending a trade to the Arizona Cardinals here. A lot of people think that Ryan Baldinger, I think he's a former NFL player. He's very good at breaking down film and whatnot. He thinks that the Chargers at 5 should go offensive tackle, which would be Joe Alt. I got going to Tennessee at 7. It's too hard to pass up another team that's lost 2 wide receivers, a talent to the level of a Malik Neighbors. If pending no trade down, which that's what Jim Harbaugh wants to do, they're going to get the 4-3-4. Yeah, I said that right. They're going to get the 4-3-4 blazing, playmaking, Randy Moss-like wide receiver there at 5. Malik Neighbors, he's just a better prospect than those linemen at that spot from what I see. And plus, they still got Rashawn Slater. Now, they could take the right tackle, but I doubt it. But we'll see. We're going to find out in 24 hours, won't we? And then number 6, Washington, or the Giants. The Giants pass on J.J. McCarthy, and the 6th pick, they take Rome Odunze, wide receiver from University of Washington, also highly, highly regarded for whoever they got throwing him the football. We'll have a really solid target there. And, of course, 7, 99% of the mock drafts I read, Tennessee's taking Joe Alt, left tackle, out of Notre Dame. And me, I have, instead of Dallas Turner for 8 for Atlanta, the Falcons, I have this guy who has got better stats, but he had a neck injury more than 2 years ago. This Latuda Tua from UCLA, edge rusher from UCLA, defensive end, edge rusher, whatever you call him, going to Atlanta at 8. And at 9, this is really one that a lot of people did not go with, but I was just going with someone who would complement Montez Sweat of the Chicago Bears, who've got the 9th pick as well. This Jar Zahn Newton, defensive tackle from Illinois, to go to the Bears, who they desperately need, at number 9. And, of course, number 10, still need plenty of help on that offensive line. Somebody to fill in for Tyron Smith, who's probably going to get hurt. Ola Fashanu from Penn State there. The left tackle / right tackle. Okay, so that's my top 10. Let me give you my 11 rapid fire here. 11, I think McCarthy just falls to Minnesota. I don't think they have to do anything. And until shown otherwise, McCartney falls to Minnesota. J.J. McCartney, quarterback from Michigan. I think he'll go 11 to Minnesota. 12, Denver still has 12. Denver, they've got Zach Wilson now, so we don't think they'll go quarterback at this point. I think they will go with the remaining, the next, what most consider to be the next best edge rusher. That would be Dallas Turner from Miami. 13, still need a right tackle there. Love to run the ball. Antonio Pierce, head coach there for the Raiders. J.C. Latham from Alabama, supposed to be the best run blocking right tackle out there. We will see. All right, number 14. Got a lot of talk about this guy. Offensive tackle here. Just comparing a lot of notes here. This Armas Mims from Georgia going to the Saints. Saints need help. Trevor Penning could very well retire this year. They need help on that line. They're going to go offensive tackle, folks. From studying this, going over this, I got a lot of tackles and guards going in the first round, maybe the most ever. This is according to me comparing a lot of mock drafts by a lot of scouts and draft experts and putting my opinion in there as well. So that's another tackle off the board at 14. They could go with Fuga from Oregon State. It just depends on who they like the best. But I'm taking this guy from Georgia who stock seems to be going up here in the latest mock drafts, going 14 to the New Orleans Saints. 15, like I said last week, big need at corner, not a small need, a big need at cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts at 15. I've got Toledo's Quentin Mitchell. Guy's very good, plays the pass, plays the run, open field, ball hawk, does just about all. Kind of reminds me of the Titans' L'Jarius Sneed, who used to play with the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Seattle, also offensive line, guard issues. They take a local guard here. They can also play tackle, help them with their line to solidify it, which is coming back slowly. They've had some two good guards here. I think they're going to take, although I wouldn't, I'd probably take Michael Penix here. But I think they take Troy Fantanu, guard tackle from Washington, who's rated really high at that 16th pick. 17 with Jacksonville. Got a very highly sought-after player. Some are saying maybe the number 1 or number 2 best overall prospect in the draft. He falls to 16 or 17 in my mock. Brock Bowers to get him to play with Evan Ingram. That really opens up a lot there for Trevor Lawrence in across the middle of the field. That would be huge for Jacksonville fans. I'm sure there was a lot of Georgia fans that live in Jacksonville. That's where they play every year. They play the University of Florida. Well, maybe they'll like him because he used to kick their butts. A lot of those guys are Florida fans. I digress. Okay. Number 18, like I just mentioned earlier, DJ Ritter's go. Now Trey Henderson is wanting out with Cincinnati. Hopefully they'll figure that out, but I do have them at 18, taking the next best defensive tackle. Very good athlete, Byron Murphy out of Texas. Now, I do think his stock has went down. He could have went as high as 9 with Chicago, but remember, he got a DUI, driving while intoxicated charge just a few weeks ago. I don't think it keeps him out of the first round, but I do think it's going to knock him out of the top 10. Maybe it pushes him a little farther than 18, but I got him at 18 with Cincinnati, who is notoriously taking chances on troubled players, going back to having Pac-Man Jones. They had a linebacker, and I can't remember his name. It was very dirty, but he played many good years there as well. Okay. Number 19, LA Rams. I've had a few different looks here with the Rams here, but I'm going with this guy who keeps popping up, jumping up. he was supposed to be an early second. Now I think he may be a mid to late first. This guy named Chop Robertson from Penn State to help that defensive line, who just lost Aaron Donald to retirement here. I know he's not a defensive tackle, but he's a very good edge rusher here, okay? There could be this Bernice guy out of Florida State. It just depends on who the Rams like the best here. But I actually think it's going to be Chop Robertson from Penn State. And, of course, 20, Pittsburgh. The other receiver, speedster as well, Brian Thomas from LSU, wide receiver. Remember, they lost Deontay Johnson, who's now been traded to the Carolina Panthers. And, of course, they got rid of Chase Claypool last year. So they need some help at that wide receiver position. Okay, which leads me to now we're caught up. We are caught up, okay? So now we are at number 21 to 32, folks, in my mock draft. Dolphins lost quite a few players, including Christian Wilkins, who's now signed a huge contract to play with the Las Vegas Raiders. I've got them taking Jared Verese from Florida State. Now, of course, this guy could go up in the top 10. He could go to the Rams a few picks before this. But I think he's going to end up falling to the Dolphins, and they're going to be glad to take Jared Verese, Verse, edge rusher, Florida State University. Tomahawk chop, okay? So that's 21. 22, Philadelphia Eagles, okay? The Eagles, yes, they lost Jason Kelce. They have moved Cam Jurgens to that center position. Some are still leaning on offensive line in the first. I see them getting long in the tooth at the cornerback position. Most of the time they do go early and often offensive line, and it's paid off big. It is paid off very big for them in the past, but I do think they're going to be okay at that. Maybe they go address that in a later round. I think, listen, Darius Slay, Eagle fans, and James Bradbury, these guys are both post 30. They're getting long in the tooth, and you all know that I don't have to tell Jamie Paggs, the Philly sports guy, who maybe I'll bring back on here in the near future, get his thoughts on their future going ahead. But they got roasted there. I mean, go back and look at their playoff game against the Buccaneers. They were way out of sorts, missed tackles, big plays in the passing game. They need help at that cornerback position. I know they got a new defensive coordinator there. They got Vic Fangio, but they're wanting to help on that side of the ball. I think that they go with this guy who is the next best corner in the draft, other than the guy from Toledo, in my opinion, this Cooper DeJean from Iowa. I think they take Cooper DeJean from Iowa to help out with the agent James Bradbury and Darius Slay. Okay, now that was 22. Now 23, Minnesota. This is the other pick. Remember, they got this from Cleveland and made a trade and all that. Since I'm saying that they're going to get J.J. McCarthy at 11 until proven otherwise, I think they're going to hold this pick. They're getting the next highest rated player that they can get. They also need help at corner. They've been needing help at corner for a few years now. They need help at edge rusher. They need help at corner. But I think the higher rated of the players would be this Terrion Arnold, corner out of Alabama. I think they'll take him. He's another corner from Alabama here. another Alabama player. He will go number 23 to the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, now Dallas at 24. A lot of stories coming out of Dallas over the past 2 weeks. Okay. Micah Parsons, it's been said that he's wearing thin in the locker room with the coaching staff, among others. He's a star player. You've got CeeDee Lamb. Now he's talking like he wants another extension. He's it's getting close to his time to be extended. Then you've got Dak Prescott, your quarterback, who I said they should have packaged him up and Micah, as good as Micah is, and try to get in one of those top 3 quarterbacks, particularly Drake May or obviously, the main quarterback there, Caleb Williams. That's not going to happen. People mock me for that. But my thing is, Dallas Cowboys, they're going as that this is as far as they can go. Where they went, they're a first to second round in the playoffs type of team. They're not going to get farther than the divisional round, in my opinion. They've shown that the last 2 years. They cannot match up a Green Bay. Look at the past few games, not just that blowout at home. The 49ers had their number. Now Detroit's getting better. They're falling behind Detroit as well. Okay. So they're as far as they can go right now, in my opinion. All right. But that's not going to happen. I'm saying all that to say I would actually draft Michael Penix here and let him sit a year behind Dak and just let Dak walk. You would get a compensatory pick for Dak. If you can't trade him, which they can't, and they won't at this point. Maybe they could, I guess, but I don't believe so. Now, that would be a shocker if they just traded him to a team like a Minnesota and that they drafted 11 or something like that, right? They traded him for the 11th pick and took at that 11th pick took Michael Penix and then used their pick for an offensive lineman. But none of that's going to happen because it's not Jerry Jones's idea. So again, we know they lost Tyron Smith. I agree with NFL.com's Bucky Brooks and Mel Kiper to replace Tyler Smith. I got them taking this guy named Tyron Smith. Excuse me. I got them taking this guy Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. You know how they love those Oklahoma players. CeeDee Lamb with Oklahoma. So they're going to take an offensive tackle there at Oklahoma at 24. Okay, 25, Green Bay. Very good position here. They're going to have to replace David Bakhtiari, although they did a good job last year. We saw how far they went in the playoffs. Excuse me. But likely a first round to replace David Bakhtiari. How about Talise Fuga? F-U-A-G-A, right tackle / left tackle from Oregon State. If he's still on the board, they plug and play him in at 25 with the Green Bay Packers. The Packers will love to have this guy because there were talks maybe he goes a few spots higher than that. So he's more of a top 15 talent. And he goes 25th to, that's another tackle, right? 25th to Green Bay. Now, 26, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They need help. Center guard, outside edge rusher. They need to take care of that interior of the line. They know their quarterback is not the best athlete in the world. What they did really well is they ran the ball well. Now they got a new offense coordinator, Canals. Remember, he's now with the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield just signed an extension. You're going to have this guy get protected. You want to go with this guy, Graham Barton from Duke. He plays center, and he can also play on the by the way, center, least bust position in the first round, according to this study Adam Schefter put out. Least bust position, the most bust is wide receiver. It's not quarterback, actually, first round pick. So Tampa at 26, they take Graham Barton, okay? And let's see, now we are at 20. Let's see, where are we at now? Okay. 27, Arizona. This was the pick they got from Houston last year, from Houston to move back up to get Will Anderson, which turned out to be a good gamble for the Texans. Anderson won defensive rookie of the year anyways. Okay, so now have Arizona. They have that 27th pick from the Houston Texans. A lot of people had them taking Chop Robertson. Obviously, he's off my board at this point. They also need help at the cornerback position. They've been needing help at cornerback for a while. I think they take this other corner from Alabama, Kool-Aid McKenzie, who was considered one of the better cornerbacks in this draft. I think he's coming back from injury or something like that. Either way, Kool-Aid McKenzie, Kool-Aid, red jersey. You see what I'm saying? This guy comes a baller. He's going to get some endorsements here. Kool-Aid McKenzie, that's his actual name. A cornerback from Alabama, goes to Arizona at 27. Now, 28, Buffalo. Buffalo has lost 2 wide receivers. One was addition by subtraction with Stephon Diggs, don't get me wrong. And the other one was Gabriel Davis. I guess they didn't feel like Gabe Davis was consistent enough, although at often a really good speedster, a deep route type of runner. But guess what? They replaced Gabe Davis right here. They have 2 really good tight ends. The tight end they brought in last year, I think, could be a star tight end because you've got Stephon Diggs out of the wide receiver locker room. They've got Shakur here. Guys like this. His name's like Tupac Shakur, right? Second-year player. So they take the fastest guy in combine history, Xavier Worthy. That's going to be fun to watch Josh Allen throw this guy the ball deep. The speedster, no lie, it was recorded on NFL.com, our NFL Network, 4.2140. He was the guy that got one of the long touchdowns against that Alabama defense week 2 in the Texas-Alabama game, where Texas went on the road and beat Alabama there. So that speedster there, Xavier Worthy, we're going to find out how worthy he is with the great Josh Allen at 28. And Brad Holmes, one of my favorite general managers in the league of the Detroit Lions, picking at 29. They have 2 older offensive guards on 1-year deals. I do think that they take this other Oregon guard. They just signed an Oregon tackle here, Penei Sewell, to a big extension. They took at 7 back in 2021. Now they're picking at 29, and they take this guy, Jackson Powers Johnson, offensive guard, out of the University of Oregon at 29. Okay. So they maintain. Now there's some saying maybe they take an edge rusher or corner as well. I think that the value is with this guy, another offensive lineman, folks. Okay. Baltimore also lost 2 offensive linemen, one through free agency, one through trade. One of the more confident organizations, the most confident organization I've ever seen, the Baltimore Ravens. And as far as Dylan offensive linemen in their prime, remember they got rid of Orlando Brown? Kansas City, you want Orlando Brown? Okay, that's fine. We've got Ronnie Stanley back, who is our original left tackle. We'll ship him off for a first-round pick, and I think they took Tyler Linbon the next year, one of the better centers in the NFL. Who'd they get rid of? I think they traded Morgan Moses or somebody to the Jets or somebody. Makes no never mind. They let another guy walk. Not as concerned for the Ravens as a lot of people may be because they have lost quite a few players. I think they take another offensive tackle to play in the right side and maybe to move him in at guard. This guy named Jordan Morgan from Arizona, another tackle guard type of guy. Jordan Morgan from Arizona at 30. Okay. Getting to the guys that were in the Super Bowl. Okay. Number 31, the San Francisco 49ers need help on their defensive line. Offensive line getting a little long in tooth. At cornerback, they need help at. Always seem to need help at corner for some reason. I'm thinking from everything I hear and read, this guy, Nate Wiggins, very good corner out of Clemson. I think he falls to them. He's the most recognizable player for needs that they have. Nate Wiggins, cornerback from University of Clemson. That is your 31st overall pick there, going to the 49ers. And let's get to the Super Bowl champs. Here, everybody's saying a lot of people think they're going to take receiver because of what happened with Rashid Rice. He's going to get suspended a few games. A hit and run accident, hit and run accident, got caught on camera, had that incident. Remember, though, they did sign Marquise Hollywood Brown also. All right. So this team has some options here. They have some options there. I think Hollywood Brown, the guy that had some really good flashes with the Ravens. Lamar couldn't get him the ball consistently, and Murray couldn't stay healthy. And, of course, Brown got hurt himself, but I think Brown's going to be okay. I think he's going to be okay. They have a glaring need at cornerback because L'Jarius Sneed was traded over to the team for a 2025 third-round pick to Tennessee. L'Jarius Sneed is a Titan now. So I'm thinking, like Bucky Brooks from NFL.com, I'm thinking they draft this guy, Kamari Lester from University of Georgia. He is a cornerback. That rounds out my first-round mock draft. So I've got 4 quarterbacks going in the first round. I can't even keep up. I think I got maybe 6 offensive tackles. Slash guards, maybe more than that. I've got 2 going in the top 10. I'm looking across my screen. Fashanu and Joe Alt going in the top 10. I think I got maybe 6, maybe 8 offensive tackles or guards, offensive linemen in general, going in the first round here. No running backs, folks. No running backs. I've got, 5 wide receivers going in the first round here. Worthy, Brian Thomas, Odunze, Neighbors, and, of course, Marvin Harrison there. And, of course, the great tight end there, Brock Bowers, got him sliding to 17. So that's the mock draft. We're going to find out what the real deal is going to be at tomorrow. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. I'll be here with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez. We will be going on past my normal time of being 55 minutes to an hour, okay? And we'll be going over those first 10 picks. I thought that was a good stopping point. For one thing, it's generally an hour show, but we'll go over because, listen, the Mad New Yorker get his comments on the Giants who are picking 6th, and we will go over the Jets who are picking 10th if they pick those positions, if they move up or move down, per se. Very good chance, in my opinion, the Giants move up from 6 to 3 if Drake May is on the board. Very good chance of that, okay, at 3. But I don't know if I would give the farm. I don't know. I just really don't know about that. So anyways, I'll be back here with Carlos tomorrow, and I do want to make an announcement, and it's a little ahead of time, but next Tuesday, 25, 30 minutes past the hour, Rich Ferris will be going over the Titans draft here. I'm out of Nashville. A lot of Titans fans want to see what's going on. There is a possibility that the Titans could trade some players. Maybe they go after a Trey Henderson. Maybe something like that's done. Maybe they trade down. Maybe they trade down and get another third-round pick, get a third-round pick. They don't have a third-round pick from a team wanting to move up. Maybe Minnesota wants to move up to 7 to get McCarthy because they're still worried about a Denver. Okay? All that stuff could happen. So if you guys like the show, share the show. I'll be back on tomorrow. We will talk about mainly the draft. And then, of course, we'll get up to the NBA on Friday. Carlos will hopefully be back by then, and we'll go over all the other biggest stories of the week. Cannot wait. Less than 24 hours away, folks. Have a good night, everybody.